You are now listening to TuneIn Slice of Health by Chola MS General Insurance.
The third episode of our Slice of Health podcast focuses on ancient wellness practices for millennials by Dr. Varalakshmi, an Ayurvedic doctor, wellness expert, and an international speaker. Listen to the podcast here.
Did you know that 44% of millennials aged between 33 to 40 years have at least one chronic health condition? Welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Varalakshmi. I'm an Ayurvedic doctor and practitioner, and thank you for joining TuneIn with Chola MS. And today we are talking about ancient wellness practices for millennials. And particularly we will be focusing on one of the oldest system of medicine, Ayurveda, and what are the practices that Ayurveda has described to help live a longer and healthier life. So before we start and dive into the topic of how we can, improve our health and well-being with these practices, I want to give you a little bit introduction about what is Ayurveda. Ayurveda, the word itself, which means, it is a Sanskrit word, and it means Ayuhu means life and Veda means study. So Ayurveda is the ancient system of medicine originated from India, and it describes about practices and tools and herbs and how you can enhance your lifespan. So in today's episode, we will be covering some of the important aspects of how you can actually achieve this being a millennial. So as I was saying, Ayurveda is all about lifespan, increasing your lifespan by having certain, daily rituals, and as well as how you can incorporate your diet. So one of the fascinating thing about Ayurveda is that just like how we all have like 23 pairs of chromosomes, right? We all are, as human beings, we all have like 23 pairs of chromosomes when it comes to each one of us. But when we look at specific qualities, like someone will have longer hair, someone will have, blue iris, while at the same time, some other person will have a black iris. Even though we share a certain unique DNA pattern or chromosomes, we do have our own uniqueness or personality when it comes to each of us. And this fascinating concept, what Ayurveda says is that Ayurveda believes that we are one with the nature. Everything that exists in the outside environment or nature also exists inside within our body. Yat pinde tat brahmande, which means that whatever that universe has in a bigger scale, we have it in a smaller scale inside a human body. So there are 5 different elements in the nature that Ayurveda says are responsible, or in general, in the nature, there are 5 elements which make sure that there is weather, seasons, rainfall, and summer, all these things, right? So the 5 basic elements, we call them Panchamahabhutas. So these 5 basic elements are air, water, ether, fire, and earth. These are the 5 basic elements that exist in the outside environment, which actually make sure, for everything to be stable and everything is working in a movement or a flow, right? So similarly, Ayurveda says these 5 elements, when these 5 elements combine, they form a 3 basic functional energies or elements, and we call them doshas. There are 3 doshas, and they're called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Vata is a combination of air plus ether, and Pitta is a combination of fire plus water. Kapha is a combination of earth plus water. So these 3 basic doshas are responsible for maintaining our health along with other factors, but these are considered as basic energies. So earlier we talked about how we all share a little bit of same DNA, but we do have uniqueness when it comes to different things, right? Even though we have same chromosomes and everything. Ayurveda says that depending upon this ratio, like all of us have these 3 doshas inside our body, and each one of them is responsible for different function. For example, Vata is generally responsible for movement, and Pitta is generally responsible for metabolism, like any transformation, like all the chemical reactions where digestion is happening, food is converted into energy. For all those physiological functions, pitta is the one that is responsible, and then kapha is the one which creates that stability or grounding, like to give that fat, to give that, because of the element earth in it, it gives that stability and grounding. It's responsible for that fat and then bone marrow. So kapha does these kind of functions. So these doshas have basic functions, but all of us have them in a different unique ratio. Like, I will have a different kind of genetic code compared to you, right? And your friend will have a different kind of genetic code compared to you. That is what decides, right? Your hair, your metabolism, some of the different things that make you you. What Ayurveda says, we have these doshas in a particular ratio, and this ratio is called Prakriti, and which makes you so unique. So this is the fundamental concept of health as per Ayurveda. Even if you take two people with, even if two people with same bloating issue go to an Ayurvedic doctor, they won't be giving them same kind of medicine. They will be checking their Prakriti and as well as Vikruti, which is like imbalance in those doshas. Or whenever there is a change in your diet and lifestyle, these doshas can go up and down and you might face a illness. So the Ayurvedic practitioner will give you something to bring that balance back. This concept of having or working on yourself to heal is what makes Ayurveda so unique. And as some millennials think that Ayurveda is ancient. But shall I share 5 fascinating things about Ayurveda? If you know, intermittent fasting has become such a sensational thing in the West, and people started to do it as like to lose weight and to do different things to improve their gut health, to improve their skin health, you name it. Several different things people have been able to achieve. But did you know that fasting has its origins? Even though fasting is part of many religions and everything, Ayurveda considers fasting as an important tool to enhance our health. There is a topic in Ayurveda which we call Langana. Langana means lightening therapies, and fasting is one form of such Langana which can actually help us to lose weight, to help us to get rid of any digestive toxins, ama we call it, to get rid of that, to improve your digestion, to improve your general health and well-being, to improve your mood, to improve your focus and concentration. Ayurveda says that upavasa or fasting is a great form of tool to achieve that. So fasting is the one thing that has its roots in Ayurveda. First, you can say one of the oldest medicines that recognized fasting as a great tool for enhancing our health. And the second one is probiotics, right? Even before the term probiotics ever existed, thousands of years ago, when Ayurveda was written by these great Indian sages, they have described a recipe you must have heard. It is called takra or buttermilk. So it is made by churning and as well as diluting water. And Ayurvedic sages describe that, or in Ayurveda, it is said that in conditions like diarrhea and in conditions where you have some abnormality going on in your digestive system, like grahani, a complex condition described in Ayurveda, in all those diseases, takra or buttermilk is given as a adjuvant. It is also given as in the form of food to improve or enhance a person's ability to improve their digestion. Can you believe this? This has been written, Ayurveda is thought to be written around 5,000 years ago. So how much knowledge Ayurvedic sages have to understand that you need probiotic even at that time. So probiotics also have their roots in Ayurveda. And the second thing is the famous, or the most important thing nowadays, a lot of modern nutritionists are talking about, functional medicine doctors are talking about, is circadian rhythm. So having a routine to improve your health and well-being. Even the lot of studies which have been done on improving gut health, on the gut microbiome, show that if a person eats on same time every day, if a person eats when they feel hungry, and if a person has a good routine where they sleep on early and then have a lighter dinner in the evening, they have a good gut metabolism or gut microbiome compared to a person who doesn't follow a routine. And this following a routine or doing things in a structured manner is described in Ayurveda, and that is called Dinacharya. So I think when I was studying the degree, the second or third chapter that we study is on Dinacharya. So Dina means daily, Charya means practices that you want to do. So what are the helpful practices or healthy practices that you are supposed to do? A healthy person should do these practices every day to improve their health, to lead a longer life, to have a lifespan, up to 100 or 120 years. So these practices, like there is, tongue scraping, oil pulling, waking up at early in the morning, which is called Brahmini Muhurta or Brahma Muhurta. All these practices have been written thousands of years ago, and we all know that how big of a sensation oil pulling or tongue scraping has become recently, when they realized how important or how amazing these practices have on our gut health. So all these things were only realized very recently by modern science, but Ayurveda has understood the importance of having a routine. Another very interesting thing about Ayurveda is that Ayurveda considers the sun and moon, or if you are from India like me, then you know that in certain parts of India or in certain cultures, even in some of the older cultures, they treat sun and moon as gods. We treat them with that respect, or we actually pray them, because we know that without the sun and moon you don't have your existence. We won't be able to have any light in our life without the sun, and we won't be able to have that cool night if we don't have the existence of the moon, right? Our own very own existence depends upon these natural energies, sources of energy. Sun is the source of energy. What Ayurveda says is that our metabolism is linked to the movements of the sun. As per Ayurveda, unlike the modern science, which says that breakfast is the heavier meal, Ayurveda considers breakfast as the lighter meal and lunch as the heavier meal. There is a reason for this. As I explained earlier, sun energy is needed for our metabolism. So between 12 to 2, where generally most 98% of the people eat their lunch, this is the time when sun has optimal energy. And that is the reason why Ayurveda says that if you are eating heavy food and if you eat a heavy meal during when sun also has optimal energy, you have a better chance of digesting that food. And if we look at it logically as well, right, if you eat lunch heavier, then after the lunch you will still be active, you'll be still doing or carrying on with whatever the work that you're doing in your day to day. But if you have a heavier dinner, unlike how we are as modern people who are always working, we often tend to, or we don't find time to have a heavier lunch, and we end up eating a heavier dinner. But after dinner we hardly do anything, right? We don't do engage in any physical activity as such, unless you are going to go to gym or you're doing something. But generally it is the time when we are winding down. So that is why it's important that you have lighter breakfast in the morning and have a heavier lunch and heavier dinner. And for the reason why lighter breakfast is, think of it as like your metabolism in the morning. We call it Jataragni or digestive fire. This is the energy or force that is responsible for digesting the food, that is responsible for giving you assimilation, for your mental and emotional well-being, the feeling of contentment, happiness. All these things come from having a good digestion. This is what Ayurveda says. And if your Jataragni is low in the morning, and because all the night whatever you're doing, you're just lying down and sleeping, and when we don't move, it increases kapha, the three energies or doshas which we talked about. And overnight the kapha increases, and that has an impact on our digestive fire in the morning. And if you eat a heavier breakfast, there is a chance that you may not be able to digest it. That's why it is important that you eat something warm and lighter, in the morning, and heavier lunch and a lighter dinner. Coming back to, earlier we were talking about the fascinating things. So circadian rhythm or having a routine is so important for the reason that it improves your gut health, it enhances your digestion, it improves your overall well-being. Like if you are sleeping early, following that rhythm, by 10 o'clock, if you are going to bed and sleep, then it improves your cognitive function. And not only that, before you go and buy all this, anti-aging has become such a huge thing nowadays. And the aging industry, anti-aging industry, but the fact about our body is doing things like digestion, assimilation during the day, and will be doing cellular building, protein molecules, building protein molecules, and doing aging, immunity, so building new structure, repairing cell wall. All these things, functions are happening at night. So if you sleep on time, then you are naturally helping your body to focus on these, anti-aging functions, immunity, all these necessary functions. So this is another amazing thing, or fact about why you need to follow a routine or to go through your day. Or just like, just like how we have a clock on the wall inside our house, we also have a clock inside our body, which is called biological clock, and our body follows all these things. Even the friendly bacteria, microbiome, follow a clock. So they do certain things at certain time. So if you're doing things at certain time, like eating on time and sleeping on time, you are helping to enhance, and you're making it easier for those friendly little bacteria inside our gut. And other, I think we also covered the practices which became such a hit, like oil pulling. Oil pulling also is originated from Ayurveda, and it is not only just a daily practice, but it is also considered as a therapeutic procedure, a procedure which helps to enhance your your throat problems. So like if someone is having any conditions or illnesses associated with throat, we as Ayurvedic practitioners, we do the oil pulling as a therapy as well, not just as a daily practice. So these are all some of the easier and simple wellness practices which originated from Ayurveda and became such a big thing. But if you can start following, as simple as tongue scraping from tomorrow, all you have to do is brush your teeth and then buy a metallic scraper and use, something as simple as steel is enough. If you can afford copper is also good, but this tongue scraping is one such practice. You don't need to spend lot of time for it, right? Just brush your teeth and use the tongue scraper to scrape your tongue. Tongue scraping is, studies show that it is a great practice for our gut health. It removes the toxins from the bacteria from your tongue, and it helps to enhance saliva production, because our gut is not just here, but our gut starts from our mouth and ends at our rectum. So the gut is made up of different organs that are associated with digestion and as well as assimilation. So, the first thing, or the first organ associated with digesting food, is our mouth or oral cavity, and saliva is the first digestive juice. So, if you have a good production of saliva, then you will have, a good. You will be helping your gut to digest as well, right? Your digestion will also improve. So the practices like tongue scraping and as well as oil pulling are known to help with that and enhance your gut health to improve that production. And another popular term that we are using a lot these days when it comes to enhancing your overall health or gut health especially, is mindful eating. Did you know that Ayurveda has described like 10 different guidelines that we need to follow while eating food? Some of them include like sitting somewhere where it is quiet, sitting somewhere where you don't have any distractions while you're eating food, sitting somewhere inside where there is no, like back when, you have to understand that back when they have written Ayurveda, they don't have like they have more outdoor settings than indoor settings. So they recommended that you sit inside and eat somewhere it is quiet, where you can actually focus. Ayurveda also says that you need to eat your food, encourages us to eat our food with our hands. because our hands or skin is the biggest sensory organ and it covers all our body, and especially our fingers have tactile sensory nerves which help us to, whenever we touch something, we instantly, our brain recognizes it, right? Same with the food. So if you use your hands to eat the food, you're touching the food, so that helps us, our mind to, like it feels, oh, I'm eating food, so it actually sends signals to your gut to release all those nice digestive juices to help and digest that food. And then Ayurveda says you need to look at the food, because whenever we are using all our senses to do any activity, then it enhances our mind to focus on that function, right? So like when we are watching TV, or now why 4D pictures are such a huge sensation is that because it gives you that sensory perception of how you will feel in that moment. So same with the food, if you involve all your five sensory, like using your hands to touch the food, and then looking at the food, trying to recognize the colors, and then when you put it inside your mouth, trying to recognize the taste. By the way, Ayurveda says there are 6 different tastes, like to in each and every food, like all the foods in the world, the number of tastes that we can recognize is 6 tastes. And if you recognize these tastes, it helps you to improve your, not only to improve your gut health, but also for your overall health. Because food is not just a source of nourishment, it is considered as one of the potent form of medicine as well. Ayurveda considered food as a medicine, so you need to treat the food with respect, because that is how our body thrives and survives, right? So this mindful eating concept originated from Ayurveda as well. So now it became such a huge thing with so many millennials, not only just millennials. I think the amount of people having lifestyle disorders or conditions related to the digestive system has drastically increased, given that we are not able to take time to eat the food. Just like, imagine, when was the last time you were able to sit, not in front of a desk or computer, but sit somewhere and just enjoy your food without watching TV, without looking at your phone, or without, attending a meeting simultaneously. I just want you to think, when was the last time you did that? But this simple thing of taking 5 minutes time to eat your food is going to enhance your gut health or enhance your overall health so much, because the more and more advanced as in regards to technology, research, or science we are becoming, the more and more we are moving away from the basic things, the basic thing of being close to nature, the basic thing of actually enjoying the food, right? We are making so much of money or whatever that is, but you still want to, end of the day, you want to enjoy the food, you want it to nourish you, you want to have that happiness, right? So that is why it is so important to incorporate some of these basic wellness practices. It is time for millennials to look into simple wellness, to look into what is the basic thing that I can do. You don't have to spend loads and loads of money on supplements. All you have to do is look at your food, taste your food, hold your food, take time, just take time to breathe every day. Take time before eating food. Take time to look at the nature. Just by looking at nature, now looking at nature or walking in nature became a luxury, right? So you can't even go out. So it is important for us to go back to the basics. It is important for us to actually become or accept the reality that we are nothing without the nature, without having a balance. So to create that balance, follow these simple wellness practices and remember that we are one with the nature, and without the nature we don't exist. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. So, with that, I would like to say goodbye, and I hope that you follow some of these ancient wellness practices and achieve health and well being. And you can also go check out my work on Instagram and my handle is @Dr. Varalakshmi. Thank you and bye bye.